colleagues. So we are now starting with the last step, whereby we have a work plan for the preparedness actions. We have drafted our ERP plan, and now it's just about taking the time with your partners to appreciate what's coming next, okay? And discuss with them and explore how you continue moving forward, how you continue building a higher level of emergency preparedness. And here during that session, because we are many countries together, we are going to take some time to reflect on those commitments I'm asking you to make. And we are going to reflect a little bit on how more prepared we've become over the past 3 days. Okay. So when it comes to the dissemination of your ERP plan, there are many things that we could think of and maybe brainstorm a little bit together. What could be your following steps? Well, you could explore the possibility of presenting your planning outputs with other clusters, other sectors, or with the OCHA-led inter-cluster coordination group, or with the relevant government institutions. You could also, for instance, in countries where the Sun movement network exists, it could be interesting to share with them, if you have not involved any of them during your planning, to share with them again the outcomes of your ERP planning and see how it could be taken into consideration to contribute to risk-informed longer-term efforts and development and build your humanitarian development nexus, if I may say. You can also discuss how you want, maybe if you organize an ERP workshop at national level, at capital level, how you want to maybe to replicate a similar exercise with actors based at subnational level, to have maybe in risk-prone areas a more context-specific tailored ERP plan. And you can also translate some highlights of all this into a short advocacy brief and share share your ERP dashboard with donors. And it can be very useful to start mobilizing the resources you may need to implement your preparedness actions, or to secure and pre-agree on funds that are required at a very early stage of the response. Okay. And we could also, in some countries, this is done, think of organizing a tabletop simulation exercise. That's something that can be done in countries. Okay. So, are we prepared, colleagues? Are we, as the nutrition cluster of Zwantipolis, prepared to respond to the next emergency? What do you think? Colleagues, I just received a text message. I just learned that a typhoon just passed Zwantipolis last night with very strong winds and dumping very heavy rains. And there is even a tsunami that happened on the coastal area of Zwantipolis. There was the first go and rescue mission that took place this morning, and the preliminary report indicates that the extent of the damage is huge. The typhoon caused devastations in the entire capital city and nearby province B. Apparently 30% of the total population might be affected. We have thousands of people in need of urgent assistance. And the government just ended a first emergency meeting calling for external support and resources. So we are, as the nutrition cluster of Zwantipolis, asked a bunch of different tasks, and we are going to share the workload together. Okay, so we have some groups who will have to deal with everything that needs to happen to mobilize emergency personnel for surge support. We have a group that will have to develop by COB tomorrow a short narrative for the response with nutrition pin target and funding requirement. It's for the humanitarian country team that will launch a flash appeal and request SURF allocations. It's needed very urgently. And then we have a third issue that we have a large donation of breast milk substitute that just landed. Okay, so colleagues, we're going to split into different groups, and we are working on that spreadsheet for session 12. So here are the 3 issues we need to deal with. Group 3 and 4, as a group, you've been tasked to organize the mobilization of skilled personnel. You need to identify the priority HR needs, develop TORs, and request to the Technical Alliance of the GNC to deploy the rapid response team, maybe. Oops, what's happening, colleagues? Group 2, the OCHA colleagues, they just asked the nutrition cluster to provide a short narrative with the response strategy for nutrition, the PIN, the target, the funding requirements for the next 2 months. It's urgently needed. Group 1, you will be the one dealing with this large donation of 5 metric tons of breast milk substitutes. There are journalists already broadcasting on TV that the infant formula will be donated also to major hospitals, especially in areas where the disaster has caused a lot of death. And there are children and infants orphaned and separated from their parents, okay, without a family to care for. So the food distribution team of the National Disaster Management Agency of Zwantipolis plans to include those infant formula boxes into the general food distribution. The food security cluster contacted us and asked what should be done in such a situation. What do we do with this donation of BMS? And also the hospital staff, of course, are asking for support to the management of these infants. So colleagues, each group works on a different tab, okay? So for group 3 and 4, you're mobilizing personnel. So you come here on tab 1 and you write your immediate action that you need to undertake now for this specific issue. And if you have time, try to reflect on a preparedness action that should have been done before to help you be ready to do that in a timely manner. Group 2, you come here on tab 2 to work on what needs to happen immediately for you to come up with this request from OCHA with key figures and a summary of our response plan. And group 1, you're on tab 3 here, dealing with this large donation of BMS. Okay? This is clear? I'm going to split you into groups in different rooms, yes. And we will have 15 minutes for this. Colleagues, see you in a little bit. And I hope it was fun for you to go through that exercise, colleagues. We are going to take a bit of time to do restitution. Colleagues, please mute your mic. Okay. So I hope it was interesting for you to realize how prepared we were. Hopefully more prepared than we think we are, maybe. So we're going to ask some volunteers to do a bit of a restitution, to share a little bit how things went in your groups. For instance, the groups who were working on mobilizing personnel for surge support. How did it go? We had 2 groups working on this. Is there anyone who would like to share on what were your immediate actions and your preparedness actions that ideally should have been done to help you be prepared to do that? Someone from group 3 or someone from group 4 would like to come in and share? Colleagues, I just need 1 volunteer, please. Or maybe Denka, you want to share a little bit what was the discussions in your group?
Yes. Well, as in the other exercises for us, as we don't have the plan and we don't have, let me put my camera, we don't have in mind what for our preparedness action from our imaginary plan. So we just went and taped again some preparedness actions. And then we put some immediate actions. For us, I think we got the understanding that we take the preparedness action from the ERP plan. And then now we say, okay, but tomorrow, what I'm going to do? So for example, our task was to write a request for GNC, for example, technical alliance and RRT. And we know that sometimes it's a long process, like administrative process. So we said, like, okay, we can have some request forms already stocked somewhere in our annexes in the ERP plan, or have somewhere, the process for requesting. So we just we don't ask and search again, this kind of very typical and simple things. There was also one of the suggestions. If we assume, for example, that we have in the ERP, we had an activity to train a rapid evaluation team, and we have trained these people, and we have a list, and this list is available somewhere. So the immediate action will be to mobilize them, to contact, to see their availability. Do they need a very quick updating or some, like, on the methodology of evaluation, just a very quick refresh. So this is what we were thinking. Yeah, and we filled in some TORs, for example, and that's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Denka. And I think I heard also in group 4 a similar reflection on how it always takes a while to mobilize surge personnel. maybe group 3, sorry, group 3 was also discussing this. I think I heard Jacinta, for instance, talking about this. I don't know if group 3 wants to come and share about their brainstorming, but yeah, as you said, Denka, you can, if at preparedness phase you have already some generic TOR for those key positions you expect you will very likely need, it's easier to just then use those, or maybe you have already explored any standby partnership that could be triggered, or you've been talking to the GNC Technical Alliance and you're aware of all the mechanisms that exist to mobilize surge personnel or rapid response team. Okay, it's about preparing and knowing this to act early on. Okay. So is there any additional points for this from these two groups? If not, then I'm going to ask group 2. Group 2 had a very interesting approach. They started to unpack their preparedness actions, and then they unpack their immediate plan. Okay, someone wants to share about the work of group 2, where you're asked to quickly come up with a summary of your response strategy and your key figures for nutrition pin, target, funding requirement. How did you go about having to do that so quickly upon OSHA's request? Anyone from group 2? Everybody is tired, I guess, by now. Marjorie, you want to share a little bit what was discussed in group 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I can come in.
Thank you.
All right. So group 2, we were looking at in terms of the estimation of the pins, the target. I think what we had been requested was, it's kind of like a summary response plan for us. So what we thought, we had first to consolidate and make sure that we have the data available. So we assumed that for some of the preparedness actions, we had already existing information on the prevalence, the context prior to that emergency, so that at least we have it. We gather in terms of the coverage estimates, the unit estimates as well for some of the intervention. We look at in terms of the existing partnerships as well, in terms of their capacity, and then also in terms of the response capacity prior to that emergency. So we are assuming that, that is part of the key actions that we needed before the emergency. Now, in terms of the immediate actions, it made it so easier now to match it up with already the preparedness actions. So in terms of now that we already have the secondary data, it makes it easier for us to look at part of the population is now, I think it was 30% of the population was affected. So now in terms of reviewing the PIN, we get, and then of course, in terms of the estimation of the coverage, because already we knew the coverage before the emergency, is now looking at, we have to estimate the new coverage for, to help in terms of expanding the response. I think prior to that, what we said, because it is an emergency, one of the key things for us to be able to do that, we really need to have kind of like an ad hoc meeting that can help in terms of pull the different partners together, so that, when we are doing the estimation of the PIN, we make sure that everybody is engaged at the same time. And then, of course, within that meeting, it already provides avenues for validation of the information. So you really don't need to do a layered approach to have the information validated. And then, of course, that consolidated, now you can be able to come up with a, with the summary of the needs. Because we're assuming, prior to the emergency, you already knew what is the cost of the intervention, which interventions needs to be scaled up. So it just makes it easier to look at what is the cost and then the funding requirements and what is the funding gap based on the previous collected information on the funding availability and the donors that are supporting. Thanks, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Marjorie. That was a very efficient group too. Thank you, colleagues. This is great. Zwanti policy is covered. Thanks to you, we're going to get this emergency response implemented very timely, and this is great to hear that. Thank you very much, colleagues. And finally, can I have someone from the group 1 to tell us a little bit about how they organize their immediate work to deal with that large donation of BMS? Just in a summary, a few words, if you want to share a little bit, maybe Maria or Zendra, I don't know, or just an example of an action you think needs to be done immediately. We're looking at all the things you put in the Excel file. It's looking great.
Okay, Cecile.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No, just to mention that in the preparedness action, we propose to promote workshops with journalists, with the humanitarian workers, government, about the importance of the IYCF actions in emergencies, as well as the how to avoid BMS donations and how to manage them, and to communicate that the MOH this is the leader to manage this kind of requirements, so, and also the distribution. And we propose also the develop, validate, and disseminate guidelines for management of BMS donations, and promote and disseminate develop just preparedness actions. Develop key messages addressed to families, stakeholders, and donors to support breastfeeding interventions in emergencies. That as part of the immediate response actions, we propose broadcast programs, dissemination in different kind of media, TV, social media, radio, whatever. The information to promote, support, and protect breastfeedings and avoid BMS donations, and coordinate with the lead of the process, in this case the MOH, about define the criteria and the distribution of BMS. For example, the non-breastfeed children programs, HIV, to define the specific target of these kind of formulas, and to coordinate and double check with other cluster the world related to BMS donations, and to stay in the same page related to the IYCF actions. This is part of our ideas, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zendra. This is great. And again, this is another example, great example of how in the span of just like 15 minutes, we're able to unpack a lot of interesting things that can be really useful for our ERP planning, and how it becomes then a more actionable ERP plan, and how it helps then brainstorming on all the preparedness actions you need to do before the crisis hits, to be able to be that effective and that efficient. So thank you again, everyone. Is there any questions at this stage? Any reflection? This short simulation exercise, it's something you can find a way to organize something like this with your partners, also to trigger more thinking and appreciate how useful it can be to anticipate everything to become, again, more efficient in implementing timely an emergency response. And maybe during such an exercise, you're going to identify additional gaps in preparedness and work on it to strengthen your level of emergency preparedness. I see hands. Roland, you want to come in? Roland, you have a hand up. Maybe it's an old hand. Or you wanted to share something with the group? Oh, okay. So, okay, colleagues. So we are again reaching the end of the workshop. Yeah, Roland, you want to come in? Maybe not. I don't know. I see your hand going up.
This is just to say that the connection is so bad here. So we have rain here at Niamey. So the connection is not very clear. I lost a lot of conversation.
Sorry for that, Roland.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for that. We have recorded everything, and maybe you can access to the recording, although you need also an internet connection. And then all the workshop materials are available on the Google Drive, and also, as I said, the ERP tools will be soon on the GNC website. You can request any support with your ERP efforts. We'll be delighted to help you. So we are now going to take few more minutes, colleagues. We're almost there, but I need you few more minutes to hear about your commitment. Need your commitment. I saw some of you started to type them in the chat box, which is great. I have one commitment here from Jacinta and then from Maria. Many thanks. Apparently, some of you are struggling accessing the slides here. I don't know what's happening. Nobody managed to access that slide?
Cecile?
Yes.
Cecile, we don't have access to the Google commitment document. And
That's
now
weird because
I can't write in the message to conversation. I don't
Yes, please.
want.
Yes, please. Because otherwise, yeah, if it's easier for you, you can type your commitments in the chat box.
Chat box too. They said to me that I can't.
Oh,
I'm
then
here.
you have
I'm here.
you have an
Don't
internet
understand.
connection issue.
Okay.
Your connection is too weak, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry for that, Roland.
If not, I want to say that my commitment will be.
Yes.
My commitment will be the first. I have lost it. Organize a small restitution with the nutrition directorate, and then with the partner of the nutrition cluster for this ERP workshop.
Great. This is great, Roland. This is a great action point. This is something you can indeed do with your government counterpart and your partners. And if you want, I can no, it's in English. We will soon translate everything into French so
Okay,
that you
good.
will have the full workshop package in French, and you will be able to organize such an event with your partners and government in Niger.
That would be great.
But it's good if you can start discussing with them and prioritize a little bit more for ERP in the work you do in Niger. Thank you, colleagues. I see now a lot of commitments are being entered on the slide. This is great to see. Thank you so much. And we'll be following up.
Why is it that some of us can't access that file? Do you know?
I really don't understand. You might need to have a Gmail account, but well, you were accessing the materials, right? You were accessing. So I don't know, because I also I shared the link with everybody being able to edit. So
yes,
I'm not sure.
I can't open it and I can't edit. I have to download it.
Sorry for that, Maria. Maybe, you typed your commitment in the chat box, so we have it, which is good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, I'm going to put them in the slides after. For those who cannot access the slides, they can just put it in the chat and I will copy paste them.
Thank you. Thank you, Denka. Okay, I see more commitments coming in the chat box. This is great, colleagues. We are going to compile all of them and we will follow up to see how you're progressing and how your nutrition sector, nutrition cluster is becoming more emergency ready. Okay, good. Thank you, colleagues. And then we have one last thing. First of all, I want to thank you very much for your participation, colleagues, your really active participation in the group work and throughout the workshop. I hope this was a useful event for you, and I would really appreciate if I could have a bit of feedback. It's a very simple questionnaire here. You type on this link and you give us a little bit any suggestions you may have on maybe how we can tweak and improve this workshop package. And keep in mind that it's a package that then you have everything ready. Everything is generic. You can then tweak it, contextualize to your setting, but you have the full 3-day workshop with all the sessions, all the presentations, the group work exercises, the templates, even facilitator guide, so that you can do it by yourself in your country. But feel free also to reach out to us for any support you may need. Okay, so I count on you to move forward with your commitment. I count on you to give feedback using that questionnaire. And this is the end. So is there any last comments, last remarks, last questions at this stage? If not, then again, thank you so much, colleagues, participants, co-facilitators. I think it was a great week. I enjoyed.
Thank you, Cecile.
Thank you. So I say bye-bye, and we'll be supporting you with the ERP.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cecile.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So much.